President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has already sent his highest Polish state award to Warsaw via Nowa Poczta.
This is simply unacceptable to our entire team.
Reports from the Polish media claim that following these recent events, he will also not attend the Ukraine Reconstruction Conference in Gdansk. As a direct consequence of this situation, Ukrainian and Polish politicians began demonstratively returning awards to each other. In this episode, we will break down exactly what happened between Kyiv and Warsaw. Why did Karol Nawrocki decide to strip Volodymyr Zelenskyy of the Order of the White Eagle, while Zelenskyy in turn calls this a political manipulation and a struggle for votes in the elections? Will Ukraine now refuse Polish assistance altogether? And what does the ordinary Polish public think about this? Spoiler: it might be a bit tough for Ukrainians in Poland right now. It all started with a historical issue. The president of Ukraine gave one of the Special Operations Forces units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine a name in honor of the UPA Heroes. After this, the president of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, announced that he was stripping Volodymyr Zelenskyy of the Order of the White Eagle. And here it's important to explain what this award actually is. The Order of the White Eagle is not just a beautiful state decoration for protocol, it is the highest order of the Republic of Poland. Its history dates back to 1705. The order was reinstated in interwar Poland in 1921, and it is awarded for outstanding merits to the Polish state, both civil and military. It does not have junior or senior degrees. It is a single pinnacle. It is awarded to the most outstanding Poles and the highest representatives of foreign states. President Zelenskyy received his order in April 2023 from the then President of Poland, Andrzej Duda. At that time, it was presented as a sign of gratitude not only to Zelenskyy personally, but also to Ukraine, the Ukrainian military, and all Ukrainians who are holding back Russia. Zelenskyy himself also said then that this award was addressed to the Ukrainian people and the military. That is why the current scandal has gone far beyond a single order.
I have decided to strip the President of Ukraine of the Order of the White Eagle.
Nawrocki explained the decision by saying that Poland will not allow the glorification of people whom Warsaw associates with crimes against Poles.
Given these historical facts, the decision to name one of Ukraine's frontline military units after notorious UPA criminals carries a weight of significance that reaches far beyond Ukraine's own internal political affairs.
At the same time, he emphasized that this is not directed against the Ukrainian people, and Poland continues to support Ukraine in its ongoing fight against Russian aggression. In words, this support remains. But in practice, relations between Kyiv and Warsaw have sharply entered a zone of significant tension. After Nawrocki's decision, Zelenskyy announced that he was returning Poland's award. The order was sent by Nowa Poczta to the office of the President of Poland. And there they confirmed, yes, the award was received. The spokesperson for the Polish president, Rafał Leskiewicz, stated that the Order of the White Eagle will remain in storage, its certificate will be invalidated, and the award itself, along with the document, will be handed over to the Department of Awards and Nominations. Then Nawrocki issued a further statement on the matter. He said that the dispute is not actually related to Poland's internal affairs at all. According to him, it concerns complex historical issues and the specific fact that Poland does not recognize Bandera's red and black flag. Nawrocki addressed President Zelenskyy directly and stated that all Polish people know and fully understand the harm Ukrainian nationalists cause to Poles. Zelenskyy had assessed the situation differently before this. He stated that he sees this as part of the election process in Poland. According to him, Karol Nawrocki is fighting for his party's position against Prime Minister Donald Tusk, and Ukraine has nothing to do with this at all. Zelenskyy also wrote that Ukrainians and Poles cannot help but be partners or friends because they are neighbors. And he separately warned hatred in society may bring ratings, but it can end in serious escalation. And that's exactly why it's important to stay focused. It's easy to get lost in stories like these. We put all of this together into one picture without noise or unnecessary dramatization, so you can quickly understand what happened, who said what, and how it might affect your life. After Nawrocki's decision, the conflict did not stop. On the contrary, a wave of awards began. Former Ukrainian presidents Leonid Kuchma, Viktor Yushchenko, and Petro Poroshenko also refused this award. Separately, Ukrainian officials began returning Polish awards. Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha announced that he is returning the Commander's Cross with Star of the Order of Merit to Poland. Ukraine's ambassador to Poland, Vasyl Bodnar, the Knight's Cross of the Order of Merit of the Republic of Poland. Deputy head of the President's Office, Ihor Zhovkva, is also returning a Polish State Award. And Kyrylo Budanov is returning the Golden Officer's Cross of the Order of Merit to Poland. This was presented as a gesture of solidarity with Zelenskyy and as a response to the decision of the Polish president. The Polish side also began to respond. The most notable example is the Deputy Marshal of the Polish Senate, Michał Kamiński. He announced that he is renouncing the state awards of Ukraine, which he received from President Viktor Yushchenko. His motive is Volodymyr, the UPA, and the fact that, in his opinion, the Ukrainian authorities have not sufficiently condemned those responsible for the mass killings of Poles. And former Polish Sejm deputy Piotr Fogler made a different gesture. He returned his Polish award not to Ukraine, but to Nawrocki as a protest against the decision to strip Zelenskyy of his order. Against this backdrop, an important event was set to take place: the Ukraine Reconstruction Conference in Gdansk on June 25th and 26th. This is already the fifth conference dedicated to the reconstruction and modernization of Ukraine after the war. Previously, such meetings were held in Lugano, London, Berlin, and Rome. And for the first time, Poland is hosting the conference. That is why the situation surrounding it has become so sensitive. According to Polsat News, citing sources close to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Zelenskyy will not come to Gdansk. Ukraine will be represented in the West by Prime Minister Julia Svirydenko. The Polish side will be represented by Prime Minister Donald Tusk. According to the same sources, Karol Nawrocki will also not participate in the event. At the same time, Polish government spokesperson Adam Słapka stated that there has not yet been any official confirmation of Zelenskyy's refusal to participate. But he acknowledged something else. The greatest tension in many years has arisen between Warsaw and Kyiv, and he called for de-escalation for the sake of the security and economic interests of both countries. This is a key point, because the Reconstruction Conference is not about symbols. It is about money, contracts, investments, future infrastructure, energy, industry, and housing construction. And if a diplomatic dispute starts to affect such events, it becomes a risk for major processes in which both Ukraine and part of Poland are interested. Economist Ole Penzin drew attention to another side of the conflict.
Because when you want to determine how events and certain political views will develop, look for the root cause, look for the money.
According to him, the tension between Nawrocki and Kyiv could harm Polish business, especially in the industrial and construction sectors. The reason is simple. Polish companies want to take part in the reconstruction of Ukraine, and these are large contracts, European funds, and future projects in infrastructure, energy, industry, and residential construction. Penzin explains, after the active phase of the war ends, Ukraine will become one of the largest reconstruction markets in Europe. And part of the Polish business community definitely does not want a political conflict to close the door to this market for them. But there is no single position on Ukraine in Poland. There is another influential group, the agricultural sector. Penzin reminds us that it was Polish farmers who protested against Ukrainian products on the European market, blocked the border, and dumped Ukrainian grain from train cars.
Some of them even wrote on their little flags, "Putin come." Really? That actually happened? Yes, that actually happened.
Polish farmers are afraid of competition from Ukrainian producers because of the scale of production, different working conditions, and the risk of losing their own market. That's why, within Poland, different economic interests are now intersecting. One part sees an opportunity in Ukraine, while another, a threat. And these interests influence political decisions. Political scientist Volodymyr Zelenskyy assesses the situation as a serious crisis in relations between Ukraine and Poland. According to him, Nawrocki made a very provocative move and Ukraine responded in kind. But further, in his opinion, it is necessary to stop not to escalate the confrontation, not to take new steps against each other, and to focus on the reconstruction conference.
You are not allowed to treat the Ukrainian state this way.
Zelenskyy also reminds us of the important difference between the Ukrainian and Polish political systems. In Ukraine, the president is the key figure in foreign policy. In Poland, the situation is different. There, the president influences the atmosphere and the relationships between branches of power. But at EU summits, it is not the president who represents Poland, but the prime minister. That is why Donald Tusk's position now carries particular significance. Zelenskyy believes that Tusk takes a more compromise-oriented and constructive position and does not support Nawrocki's provocative actions. Political analyst Ole Posternak adds another layer. He says that Poland has plunged into an election campaign, and during elections, relations with other countries often become a tool in domestic political struggles. According to him, the anti-Ukrainian campaign may be a way for Nawrocki to become a right-wing icon for certain political forces. Posternak also cautions that the tense diplomatic relations between the two countries could have a detrimental impact on Ukrainians living in Poland. He also adds that it is important for Ukraine not to lose economic relations and political contacts with Poland because the current conflict could become a problem not only now. It may resurface at a later stage, already during Ukraine's actual movement towards the EU. And then, Poland could become a significant and serious obstacle if these historical disputes are not resolved. Ukrainian-Polish relations will likely enter a new round of crisis, the depth of which is difficult to predict at this time. It can already be said with confidence that the approximately 1 million Ukrainian citizens currently residing in Poland are unlikely to experience a warmer attitude from Polish society anytime soon. The cooling of interstate relations between Kyiv and Warsaw will likely also result in Poland continuing to be left out of the new round of consultations regarding possible future peace negotiations. So the main question now is, what should Kyiv do? Should Kyiv respond firmly to every move by Nawrocki, or should it take a pause for the sake of supporting reconstruction and Ukrainians in Poland? Write in the comments which option you think is the right one. Give us a like if you want more analyses like this, and subscribe to Focus and turn on notifications so you don't miss the most important updates.